Warming bracket!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is, of course, my top 10 best TV series premieres of all time. This is something I've been looking forward to do for quite some time, and actually some of you have even asked about this in terms of requests, so glad that I'm able to, obviously satisfy some of my subscribers, as well as, honestly, myself, because I feel like on my channel, I talk more about films than TV shows, and honestly, I love TV shows. I just don't watch a lot, because for myself, binge watching isn't quite something I'm great at. It's usually something where I take my time with TV shows, which is why for every TV show based video, you'll see like 15, 20 film based stuff. So that's the reason why. It's just I'm a little more slow on this, but I have watched plenty of TV shows, and that's why I'm going to be doing this. I'm honestly going to be doing premieres. This video is going to be focused on top 10 premieres, and I'm also going to be doing a top 10 finales video, as well as just top 10 TV shows of all time. With the top 10 TV shows of all time, I did want to mention that video is going to be talking about TV miniseries and TV series in general. This is going to be focusing on the premieres, and the finales are just going to be focusing on TV series. So no miniseries, unfortunately. So a TV show like Chernobyl or Watchmen that I absolutely adore and think are masterpieces, they aren't going to make this list, unfortunately. So just TV series. But all that explanation aside, guys, let's talk about top 10 best TV series premieres of all time, and of course, my opinion. So kicking things off, my number 10 is Oz. The episode is called The Routine. Oz is a TV show that I'm a huge fan of, and the first episode really gets you into it because, obviously there's like a unique style to the show. How the characters are talking to you, via the screen, almost breaking the fourth wall in a way, and then obviously the 4:3 aspect ratio is unique for today's cinema, but also Oz just also starts right off with giving you that unpredictable nature that the show ended up becoming well known for. And truth be told, I think the show deserves more credit because, again, that first episode really draws you into the world. And I was captivated for the 6 seasons that, obviously I watched it for. So, yeah, that's why it's my number 10. Next up, my number 9 is Deadwood. The episode is called Deadwood. Deadwood is a profane-laced TV show that honestly is hilarious. There is so much cursing. It is amazing, honestly. It does a really good job of utilizing it to really feel like you're in this time of like dealing with these characters that are morally gray. And really, just that episode, it really gets you into the world. You have, obviously that amazing theme song. It's great. Just listening to that, I can listen to it on repeat. Getting to know, obviously, Ian McShane's character, the world. It's just great, honestly. It really, really drove me into this world, and honestly, I was happy that I was able to watch the show, and that premiere really got me into it. So that's my number 9. Next up, my number 8 is Hannibal Aperitif, which I think I botched it, but I'm a huge fan of Hannibal, which I think is very underrated. But this honestly really gets you into the mind of the lead character Will, as well as just like how he looks at life and everything. And obviously they flesh out his character as the series progresses. But you can just watch the first episode and right off the bat you get where he's coming from. You understand his motivations and everything. I loved it. I think it's great, and it really also just get you propelled into that, unique cinematography that honestly is some of the best cinematography you'll ever see. I am hoping that it gets upgraded into 4K, but if not, it's still amazing to watch this. So yeah, that's my number 8. Next up, my number 7 is House of Cards, Chapter 1. So House of Cards, Chapter 1, again, as I've mentioned with all these other TV shows, they all have something in common, and that's getting you as the viewer used to the style, showcasing the style of the show and what you as viewers will have to end up being used to. And House of Cards is no different. You have to get used to the Underwoods, well, specifically Frank Underwood, narrating to you as the audience to actually understand what he's saying. Because the show is dealing with politics, and so you'll hear him say something to obviously all these other characters, and then he'll just turn to us as the audience to actually say what he actually means and actually say yeah, all this is a lie, but here's actually what I'm saying and what I'm actually thinking. And I think it's great. Also, the cinematography, much in the same way as Hannibal, this show specifically, obviously it's a David Fincher directed episode, so it has that unique, palette. And that palette, honestly, would end up going on to be in every single episode, which I dug, because David Fincher didn't direct every single episode, unfortunately. But that style they took and they fleshed it out and put it in every single episode, and it worked. He really did set the stone for the show, and honestly, that first episode, it's great. It's great to watch. I think it's masterful. That's why it's my number 7. Next up, my number 6 is Westworld. The original is what the episode's called. Honestly, Westworld, I love this show. I think the first season especially is incredible, but the first episode is what really gets you into the world. The episode itself is I believe it's like an hour and 20 minutes. So it is legitimately a movie. You could watch this on its own and look at it as just as a movie, because it does have a beginning, middle, and end, whilst at the same time obviously leaving room to breathe for obviously future episodes. But it does such a great job. And honestly, when you watch the rest of the first season, it's great to see how much of the first episode really foreshadowed the events to come. So I loved it. Honestly, it also just does such great usage of, like, again, color, the acting. It really shows the phenomenal casting. It's great, man. It really is great. I love this first episode. I think it did a great job setting the stone. So yeah, that's my number 6. Next up, my number 5 is Breaking Bad, the pilot. So, truth be told, Breaking Bad, I'll never forget when I first tried to watch this episode. I got like 5 minutes in and I just turned it off. This was, keep in mind, I think I was like 17. So I guess I just didn't have the patience. But then I ended up watching when I was like 18, turning 19. And I loved the premiere. I really loved it. It's called The Pilot. And honestly, The Pilot, it's just great. Again, similar to all these other shows, it just really gets you into like the mindset of Walter White with everything that he's going through, the midlife crisis, and you have like a beginning, middle, and end. Just like all these other episodes, which again are essentially mini movies. You have it where obviously you see Walter White like just not happy. The progression of like how he's trying to get happy, and then by the end he ends up being happy. Which if you've seen the episode, you know what I mean. So it's great. Honestly, it's a great introduction to the characters in this world, this seedy world, and the usage of color. It's just great, honestly. I love also the score. The thing is with Breaking Bad, the actual theme song itself is like 10 seconds long, but that 10-second theme is amazing. Let's face it. So really does a great job of just immersing you as a viewer into the world, and yeah, that's what a premiere should do, honestly. Next up, my number 4 is Game of Thrones, Winter is Coming. So, bought this all, I got it for Christmas for 4K. I love the premiere, honestly, of the show. I think that Game of Thrones, what really made it stood out for myself is how they ended that episode. Really took me off guard. I was not expecting that. I loved it, honestly. And one of the big things also with Game of Thrones is that it's all about the surprise. It's all about the characters and like how, it's unpredictable with these characters where they're going to be going to and from. And that first episode really does showcase that, because you'll have characters that die, characters' motivations obviously that, shift, and then obviously you're recontextualized as the series progresses. So it's great. It really does set the stone and the mold. Obviously there are like a couple issues like, in terms of like, length of hair and everything. That's because, if I'm not mistaken, they shot the actual pilot episode and then they had to reshoot a bunch of stuff. So, but I can look past that because, again, I really do think that it does such a great job of the world building. And I didn't notice any of that the first time. It wasn't until like my most recent viewing where I noticed it. But still, great episode, great introduction to the show. And yeah, Winter is Coming. It's great. Next up, number 3 is Mr. Robot, which is entitled HelloFriend.move. Mr. Robot's an amazing show. I love the show. It's fantastic. It really is. It really grew on me. And I will say this, the first episode, it really took me off guard the first time I saw it, because I had no idea what the show was about. So when I first watched this episode, I was blown away. And to this day, the more I watch that episode, the more I just pick up on and say like, wow, this first episode really just foreshadowed the entire show. And at the same time, really did a great job of, again, just like House of Cards, just like Hannibal, really set the stone for like the mood and the tone. Because let's face it, TV shows, we're in the golden age of cinema at this point in terms of TV shows. It is great to see that all these TV shows have this unique look and unique attributes. And no show is like this more so than Mr. Robot. I mean, for crying out loud, they have it where the angles, like, the characters like are off the side of the screen oftentimes to give this, obviously like unlikely feeling of what exactly is going on, what's happening, and really trying to get into the mind of this character of Elliot. And let's face it, the character of Elliot, right off the bat, you get where he's coming from. You understand and you want to know even more. And what more can you ask for? Let's be honest. What more can you ask for from a premiere? So, yeah, I love this. So that's my number 3. Number 2 is Twin Peaks: The Return, Part 1. So Twin Peaks: The Return, Part 1, I was very interested in the show, like, going into it, because I did watch the original Twin Peaks, and I very much so was intrigued with how they ended Twin Peaks Season 2, because obviously it leaves on a cliffhanger, and it also says, like, see you in 25 years. So 25 years later, to get it, I was very much so looking forward to it. But also I was curious, because when you watch Twin Peaks, it definitely has this, ABC production, and obviously the production design itself is amazing. But what I mean by production is that there are some episodes where could be argued as like TVMA, and then other episodes that are TV PG. So I was curious to see if David Lynch was going to go more so for that TV friendly approach, or if he was going to go for that Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet, Lost Highway approach. And the first episode answered me right away. It definitely was the latter. It definitely was going for more of that Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, like, holy cow, this is very surreal, dealing with a lot of messed up violence and everything. And I think also it's perfect because it really does showcase, honestly, what he's trying to do is really a critique of violence in movies and TV shows. And he does a very good job, I think, with this first episode, because there are a lot of surprises. You don't know what's going on. It's not until you watch the show again where that first episode makes more sense. Or who knows, maybe if you have an even higher IQ, maybe by the end of the finale, you understand why that first episode is structured the way it is. But either way, it just does a great job of realizing that this isn't your grandfather's, Twin Peaks. This is the modern day version of Twin Peaks. And honestly, it's for the better, because I think it is a billion times better than the original Twin Peaks. And yeah, Twin Peaks Return, it's masterful. That first episode, it's incredible. I've seen the actual show, Twin Peaks Return, I think 3 or 4 times. But the first episode I've seen like 5, 6 times. It's great. I love it, man. So yeah, that's my number 2. Next up, my number 1, my favorite TV series premiere is, of course, Fargo, The Crocodile's Dilemma. So, Fargo, The Crocodile's Dilemma, just a little bit of flashback mode. So, I saw this, I believe it was 2014, early 2014, as it was airing. And at that point, I didn't really watch any TV shows. I watched a lot of the old TV shows, like the Andy Griffith Show, Gomer Pyle, stuff like that, with my family and whatnot. But this was one of the first TV shows that I actually watched by myself that was part of, obviously, the golden age of cinema, and not, well, let's face it, stuff that hasn't really aged the best. So, to watch Fargo, especially that premiere, it really surprised me because it just had all of those attributes that I like. Surprise deaths? Check. Characters that are dealing with, morally ambiguous themes? Check. Amazing looking cinematography, score, worthy sequel, well, almost sequel of the original movie Fargo? Check. It just has everything that I liked, man, because I wasn't sure going into Fargo if I was going to like it, because again, I love the movie itself, and I think I saw the movie Fargo like a month before I started the show when it, was airing in preparation, and I loved the movie, so I was just kind of like, how's this going to be? And the TV show does hold up on its own, and that first episode, it's like a mini version of Fargo the movie, and honestly, it just does, again, gives you that want of seeing more episodes, but for myself, I had to wait a week to watch the next episode, but I've seen this premiere many times. I think at least 6, 7 times. It never gets old. It's great every single time I watch it. And it just, again, it sets the stone and the tables for these characters, the villain and the good guy, obviously. They do a great job with that. So, yeah, that's my top 10 best TV series premieres list, guys. I'm curious to hear your guys. Again, I did want to add Chernobyl and Watchmen, but I decided it would just be TV series premieres and not TV shows in general. So I do apologize about that. But, again, I do love Chernobyl and Watchmen very much so. I just had to make a conscious decision. So, but anyways, guys, what's your top 10 TV series premieres? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, be on the lookout for my top 10 best TV series finales. That list will be coming out soon, as well as just top 10 TV shows in general, which will be a mix of miniseries and TV shows. But anyways, guys, again, thank you for watching. You guys are the best. Don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.